Welcome to the Good Growing Podcast. I am Chris Enroth, horticulture educator with the University of Illinois Extension, coming at you from Macomb, Illinois, and we have got a great show for you today. I am dusting myself off as I walk into the office because it is dry and dusty out there. We're going to be talking about how dry is it this time of year right now. And you know I'm not doing this by myself. I am joined, as always, every single week by horticulture educator Ken Johnson in Jacksonville. Hey, Ken.
Hello, Chris. It is dry. Very dry. At least in Jacksonville, yes. It is.
Mm-hmm. I did a demonstration this morning on lawn installation, and I have the grit of all the dust in my mouth still. So I'm like, yeah, every time my teeth come together, it's just kind of this grinding sound. Hopefully it's not TMJ. Oh boy, something wrong with my jaw? No, it's sand in my mouth.
Wear your teeth down. I need dentures here.
There you go. Yeah, I got to smooth out those back teeth there. Yeah. Oh, well, Ken, it is dry, and it wasn't always like this though. We had quite a bit of rain earlier in this year. Let's start by maybe giving an update. You know, what's been going on in our own neck of the woods. So Jacksonville, what have you experienced this growing season?
So early in the year, we had plenty of rain, and I guess the spigot, as you say, just kind of turned off. I know we are looking at the drought monitor website. We are currently in abnormally dry conditions, and I know looking at the 10-day forecast, no rain predicted. I think the last I looked, the highest chance was like 20% chance of rain. So it's dry and going to be staying dry at least for the next week or two, it looks like.
Yeah, about the same story here. We had a lot of rain in June. July was incredibly plentiful with the precipitation. Looking at some of the precipitation totals near my backyard, July was over 10 inches of rain fell during that month in Macomb. And some weather stations are reporting even higher amounts of precipitation, but everybody's over 10 for the month of July. And then August, as you said, everything turned off. And the current precipitation, we did get a half inch a few weeks ago, but in total for August, we've got 7/10 of an inch for the month of August in Macomb. So it got very dry very quickly.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much we got in Jacksonville for August, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's that or less. And we've had to start watering our vegetable garden, start doing that because when I was out in our front yard, we've got cracks I can fit my hand down into and hit my knuckles, and I'm still not touching the bottom of the cracks in our yard. So
that's pretty dry. When that is the sign I tell folks, when you can shove your finger between the sidewalk and the lawn, that is when we have to start watering our trees, which we'll talk about, I think, here in a little bit, but don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But that is my sign for it's time to start. Forget about the lawn. Save the trees.
Lose a small child in a crack.
Yeah. The amount of snakes that also live down those cracks. I'm kidding, folks. I'm kidding. Stick your hand down there. See what happens.
It's the brown recluses. Not really.
You got to look out for them. Ken is kidding. They don't. Brown recluses, even in your neck of the woods, they don't survive our winters, do they? Or
it depends on what map you look at. Sometimes,
okay.
Probably not up by you. Jacksonville, maybe borderline. Okay. But they're probably in your basement, not outside.
Yes, they're house spider. Like they want to be in the house. They don't want to be outside. They like us.
Remember, if you're cold, they're cold.
That's right. Well, I think we've established that it is dry, but there's other things going on. So Trent Ford, he is our Illinois state climatologist. He did do a blog post on September 4th. So it's been a couple days, but looking at sort of what the state of Illinois has experienced from the northern portions all the way to southern Illinois, really commenting about, Northern Illinois has seen quite a bit of rainfall this later half of the summer, whereas with Southern Illinois has seen almost no rainfall. Actually, Carbondale has recorded only 2/100ths of an inch of precipitation. That's like the amount of morning dew that is accumulated in the rainfall catcher thing. Then not the rainfall catcher thing. What's the official name for rain gauges? Telling you that dust is getting to me. And so, but August totals for up in Will County, up in Northern Illinois, has been over 10 inches in August, which is 300% higher than normal. So we have these two ends of the state, far north, far south, really at two opposite ends of the rainfall spectrum. And the other thing that Trent talks about is the humidity from this summer. My gosh, it was awful, Ken. It was, I've never experienced that. Now, you lived in Florida, so maybe you have, but that amount of humidity, it was unbelievable, unbearable.
Yeah, it's definitely having some flashbacks to why we moved back to Illinois. It's uncomfortable. And going back to the drought stuff in Southern Illinois, there is a rapid onset of drought kind of outlook for that, just because we've had so little precipitation. It's going to be getting hot again. We've had our first false fall, and now summer is coming back. By the time people are listening to this, I think it's going to be back into the 90s again. Mm-hmm. So that, no rain, dry, or no dry conditions, warm weather again. We still have plants, drawing up moisture and releasing it. We've got those possibilities for that really rapid onset drought because of that.
I like the name that Trent has in this blog post. He calls it flash drought. If there's like flash flooding, now there's flash drought, which is a new word for me. That's a whole new word that I will use from now on when it gets dry in a hurry. So Ken, I guess maybe a few other items, just weather related. If we look at the extended forecast, what NOAA predicts, we're kind of sitting in the realm of could be warmer, could be cooler than average, could be wetter, could be drier than average. But when we look at some of the drought predictions from NOAA, Southern Illinois remains in this 3-month period, in this 3-month outlook. Southern Illinois remains still the probability of being about 33 to 40% drier than normal. And again, with us in Central Illinois, it's kind of like could be dry, could be wet. We're not quite sure. So, but it seems like that dry weather pattern is going to hold up for Southern Illinois. But it does look like when we look ahead at the 3-month outlook for temperature, most of Illinois is going to be, let's see if I find the correct key here. It's like we're about 40% higher than a normal temperatures, or the probability is to be, we have a 40% probability being higher than normal temperatures.
So hot and dry.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, well, relatively hot.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we're not 90 in November and December.
Boy, that would not be fun. The garlic will like that. Garlic's going to go nuts if we're nice and warm. And then it's going to get hit by a frost. You can just see it coming. So how does all of this weather affect our gardening? We often tell folks, hey, fall is a great time for planting things. Normally we get some rainfall return after a really variable summer season. Ken, why should we even care? I mean, we live in Illinois. We got so much water. Who cares? We got groundwater. We got lakes. We got rivers, ponds, streams. There's water everywhere.
There is. So you normally like
until there isn't.
Exactly. So like I said, typically this would be the time of year where the rains are coming back and a little more consistent. And because of that, we're planting a lot of times trees, shrubs, time of year to plant grass. This is the best time of year typically to plant grass and stuff. But if we're not having that water, we probably need it with the models predicting that, we're going to stay dry at least next 30 days. You may want to think twice about that if you don't have the capability or the desire to not constantly, but consistently water stuff to get that established. With trees, they're going to need quite a bit of water, if you're planting new trees. I know we're at the State Master Gardener Conference last week. One of the super seminars was tree planting that Emily was doing. And before I left, I grabbed my mattock for her so she could dig the holes because the ground was so dry and there's a lot of clay. You could not do it with a shovel. We had to use the mattock, which is kind of like a pickaxe, if you're not familiar with what that is, to dig a hole. So if you're central to southern Illinois, if you're planting trees, you may want to look at watering for several days beforehand just to get that soil loosened up and moist so you can actually dig it. And then you're going to have to stay on top of that, again, mulching to help retain that moisture and stuff. Mums this time of year, everybody's got mums for sale. Mums are very shallow rooted plants. Mm-hmm. If you want to try to overwinter those, get them established in the landscape. We talked about this last year, but planting those sooner rather than later. And then again, staying on top of that moisture, mulching that, helping them get established. If you're just, you're growing them as a temporary thing, water as usual and stuff, but probably not going to, I guess, plan on relying on rain to get you the moisture you need. And then with grass, you're going to have to keep that watered. And if you're doing really large areas, like your whole yawn, that may be a whole lot of work. You may be dragging a lot of hoses, or look at getting one of the sprinklers that will kind of walk itself, so you're not constantly have to move stuff. But those are usually for like really. Thing? You ever seen those like little tractors? They pull out a string and like it'll walk itself forward, and it'll get to the end and it'll shut off.
Where have I been?
When I worked at ground crew at high school, they had those. I mean, you were doing these on athletic fields. Yeah, you'd set it out and it'd walk itself forward.
I think I've seen those. Some of them are like cutesy and they look like little tractors. They're on wheels. Mm-hmm. I just thought it was cutesy. It's supposed to move.
These ones we had, there was a string attached to it. You'd run it out, put it on a stake, hook up the hose, and I don't know how it actually worked on with the water pressure. Just kind of forced it along, but it would spin out the water, walk forward, roll forward, and then you got to the end, it hit it, and that would compress something and shut it off. But again, that's really big. And like if you just got a postage stamp yard, you're gonna be watering everybody's lawn around you probably. But
well, that's cool. So this morning I just did the a lawn installation demo with seed, and so right now I would be hard pressed to suggest to folks to seed like their entire lawn, like more than half an acre of lawn. I mean, we did a small area along a sidewalk that was being flipped from planting bed back into lawn. And it's super dry. I can't imagine keeping up with water right now on a larger scale than this. This is basically a spot where you can cover the whole area with one little sprinkler that's on like half power, or like, I have the water spigot really dialed down towards like just give it enough so that the sprinkler head moves back and forth. But yeah, I would not really suggest right now seeding an entire lawn unless you have some kind of dedicated irrigation system. You have one of these mobile walk-in irrigation things, or you're prepared to follow up next year with more seed.
Yeah. Or you want to drag hoses everywhere.
Yes, I don't want to do that. So, lawn's on its own. And we've experienced this though for like several years, I think. I feel like every time we get to mid-August, late September, this is the time when I should be telling folks, yes, you need to be seeding your lawn. You need to, this is the time to do it. And for the last 2, maybe 3 years now, it has been just terribly dry this time of year, and which has forced people to wait and maybe try it in spring where spring lawn seeding is not as successful. It can work. You have cold soil. You're dealing with just all the summer annuals are starting to germinate also at that same time. You just have a lot of competition going on in the springtime. So yeah, this time of year is ideal.
Well, in the spring, you're going into hot weather.
Yes.
Shortly after it's getting established and stuff. So
yeah. So if we could do it now would be the time, but we just don't have the soil moisture to be as successful. And it always kind of pains me to take potable water and throw it on the ground for a lawn. I'll do it for a tomato, but a lawn, it hurts a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. Depending on your water source, it can get expensive.
That's true. Yes. Yeah. Like the amount of water that's required right now is not rain barrel size. Like unless you have a 1,000-gallon rain barrel somewhere, you can't really find cisterns anymore where people use those type of water catchments or rainfall catchments underground. So it's potable water, well water, rural water. Yeah, some kind of treated water.
Yeah. So instead of, I guess, spending our time on our lawns, which, if you want to, great, but maybe think twice about it because of the amount of water you're going to be needing. What we should probably be looking at, though, especially as we're heading into the fall and eventually winter, is those perennial trees, those woody plants, trees and shrubs, so especially trees. Well-established trees, can pull a lot of water, but when we're getting this dry for this long, we probably want to start looking at adding some supplemental watering for those trees. And we've seen pictures pop up here and there on social media and driving around a little bit, starting to see some scorch on trees because it is getting dry. So even those old mature trees, we would maybe getting to the point where we want to start thinking about watering those. And especially newer stuff, younger stuff, getting that water. So we're going into the fall and into the winter where we have that good moisture in the soil, especially for evergreens and stuff. Because when we start getting those cold, dry winds, we don't want a lot of desiccation. We want that moisture levels to be adequate. So we're not getting a lot of desiccation, winter burn, and stuff on those.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned evergreens. That's a biggie. What you think about trees, also our boxwoods, our rhododendrons, those retain broadleaf evergreen foliage, which are more susceptible to desiccation in the winter. And so, yeah, I need to make sure, especially before we get to freezing temperatures, that they are going into winter not in a deficit of water because they are going to get scorched as they have in the past. So I need to make sure to at least be on top of it with those. And for me, we have woods behind our house. Those trees are pretty much on their own, but I do have some ash trees in the front of my house, which I have spent a lot of money protecting from emerald ash borer. So they also will be getting water, supplemental irrigation. It's just, I can't help myself. I love the habit of the white ash tree. I love the fall color. They're great trees. There's a reason why we overplanted them. They're tough. They're good trees. And yeah, they're almost gone now.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned rhododendron because we planted some way in our backyard where we've got a lot of shade. I have to drag a lot of hoses out there to keep those watered.
Grab the hose, Ken. Buy some extra. Those lightweight hoses, I like those quite a bit, but they don't last as long as the heavy duty ones. I do like those lightweight ones.
Yeah, we got one of the ones that shrinks down and snagged it on something, and it is now, I think, more water is coming out the side of the hose than the end of the hose. So, I
just threw away a favorite hose of mine. It was just a blue rubber hose, but somehow there was a hole in it and water got between the two liners and the hose just blew up like a balloon and I got terrified. Like the entire hose, it was like this giant anaconda was like blue anaconda was behind me and I thought it was going to explode. I like ran over to the spigot, turned it off, and that water stayed in there. And I tried to drain it out so I could toss it in the trash, but it was still very heavy, very full of water.
Like make some drip irrigation out of it.
That's a good point. I should have held on to it and poked some holes in it, and there's my own personal drip line.
Yeah, we've had the another one of those hoses that shrinks up when you don't have the water on. Somehow they got the fabric on the outside that got kind of torn, and the inner plastic rubber swelled up like a balloon. I did not shut it off. I let it go until it burst just to see what happens. And it filled up with a lot of water before it finally.
Well, this has been hose talk with good growing. The other thing, while I'm thinking of this, make sure you're undoing your hose from the spigot. Just do it right now. Even if you're putting it right back on, those things can fuse together, especially if you have like a brass spigot and like an aluminum or some other type of metal hose fitting. They can fuse together. You don't want to be doing this right before it's about to hard freeze. Do it right now. This is your friendly reminder.
Yes, I did not listen to that friendly reminder last year, and I still have a hose stuck on my.
That's why I say
hacksaw to cut it off.
You get those splicers. You just have like multiple splicers by the spigot and all these old hoses.
Just reach into the ground.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So, but that was great hose talk, Ken. I'm glad we delved into that side road. And so, yeah, I think, is there anything else we want to talk about, landscape wise, garden wise, in terms of, keeping those plants hydrated, at this point in time? Do you need to do anything with your cover crops? Like, do you plant cover crops right now? Are you going to then have to water them?
Yes, I just bought a whole bunch, and we're gonna have to plant them. We're gonna have to water them in, and we're probably gonna have to keep on top of that because if it's dry like anything else, they're just gonna sit there. So, if it's gonna be really dry, maybe want to think about how badly you want to do cover crops because you will have to water. It's gonna be just like planting a turf or grass seed. You're gonna have to water those to get them established and stuff. So. That may be something, if you haven't bought them yet and you're in the central or southern part of the state, and then predictions hold we're not getting any rain, it may be something you think twice about doing if you don't want to have to water those constantly.
You had mentioned before we started the show that folks are that do alfalfa plantings are second guessing alfalfa plantings this time of year. Just not enough soil moisture, and you're not irrigating a field of alfalfa unless you have a center pivot, but I don't know many people that would spend that amount of money on something like that.
Yeah. So the home garden, where you can water, you can do it, but again, weigh that with having to water that. If you're planting that, under a crop you already have and you're already watering, it may not be that big of a deal, but just some food for thought.
Then we did that just today. We put our oats and radish. We scattered them underneath our tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers, and they're still on drip irrigation. So we'll still have to water them. Probably go in by hand water around the bed. But that just happened today, September 9th. Put the cover crop in.
Have strips of cover crop.
Yeah. Along the drip line.
So I got the email there. Our cover crop seed is in the mail or on the truck. So,
well, Ken, one more thing about being so dry, and I guess this is our warning, PSA, Smokey the Bear's fire. It's a big deal. maybe think much about wildfire in Illinois, but it happens, and it has been happening with fires that have escaped like into dry cornfields, and those fires can travel quite quickly. I mean, it kind of depends on humidity and wind and other weather conditions, but anywhere from like a slow creep to upwards of 20-ish miles per hour, which I think both you and I confirmed, Ken, we cannot run that fast.
Nope.
So yeah, can't do that. So yeah, fire. Do you practice in pyrotechnics in the fall months? Because I know I do. I have a little pyromaniac side of me that loves to have like a little fall fire. Do you do such things, Ken?
Not at our house. We live in town, so not at our house. We, may build a small fire and roast marshmallows and stuff. But at my parents do. And as a kid, we had lived out in the country, so to speak, and we had it was like 10 mature oak trees, and we burned leaves. So that was lots of weekends that we were out burning leaves. So yes, so not as much as I used to in my younger days. Now, if I didn't live in town, yeah, I probably would, because fire's fun. But when it's this dry, that's something to keep in mind, especially if you live in a more rural setting. If you have farm fields around you, probably do not want to be doing that. You don't want to spark any of that stuff, catch it. Lead to some big problems, and your neighbors aren't going to be happy with you if you burn their fields down.
Mm-hmm. And I know we're getting into fire season for like habitat management folks that do prairies. You can even do timber burns in Illinois. And really the timber burns are usually pretty docile compared to the prairie fires that I've been a part of. And it would be one of those, like, you have to really pay very close attention to the weather, to that relative humidity factor, and I do not participate in controlled burns where I don't have somebody else in charge who has taken classes, who is certified as a burn boss in Illinois. And always you're contacting the local fire department. And yeah, do not go out and say, I'm going to start burning right now. That's probably not a great idea. We probably want to wait till we have some precipitation, a little bit more moisture on the ground, and then maybe wait more into the wintertime.
Just be smart about it.
Mm-hmm.
If it stays dry, hold off. I'm saying, if you are going to do one, have the hose nearby. So if something does spark, you can hopefully get it out.
Mm-hmm. Extra set of eyes, extra long hose, a couple extra buckets of water. Plan for the worst. Well, that was a lot of great information about dealing with fall drought, year after year after year. It seems like it's like we're on a Groundhog Day loop here of this dry fall weather. And we have to talk about it now, folks, so that it actually rains. Because if we didn't say anything, it wouldn't rain. But now that we've said something, it's supposed to rain, right? Right, Ken? Is that how it works?
It's going to rain on Thursday before this comes out.
Exactly. People be like, okay, what are we listening to? Or maybe we'll just throw this episode in the trash can and start over. Well, the Good Growing Podcast is a production of University of Illinois Extension, edited this week by me, Chris Enroth. Hey, Ken, thanks for hanging out today, looking at the NOAA maps and in the backyard, the crispy backyard, in both our cases, and talking about the dry fall weather that we're experiencing.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to have to go buy some more hoses and drag them out to my rhododendrons and get those watered. Mm-hmm. Let's do this again next week.
Oh, we shall do this again next week. It'll be more horticultural hijinks. We'll see if it's rained. And we'll see what the topic is of the week. It might change based on the weather. So, listeners, thank you for doing what you do best, and that is listening. Or if you watched us on YouTube, watching. And as always, keep on growing. It is dry and dusty out there, let me tell you. And I'm not doing this by myself. Wait, I don't think I said that right. It is dry and dusty. Okay. Should we just keep going? Take two.
Why not?
Okay. Take two. Sorry, Ken.